All right, everyone. It was predictable that you would see a slow walk on the impeachment saga with regards to Joe Biden. There are several reasons for this. By the way, malevolence doesn't have to be one of them, although I think that uniparty loyalism is definitely influencing the situation. Kevin McCarthy should shit or get off the pot when it comes to impeaching Joe Biden. Enough is enough. You've already got a mountain of evidence that Joe Biden broke the law. You've got circumstantial evidence, tangential evidence, direct evidence. You've got insinuations. You've got whistleblowers. You've got testimony. You have everything that you need to plausibly make a case before the American people and impeach Joe Biden. Now, Democrats will say it's a partisan circus. Republicans will widely support the move, for political reasons mainly. Independents could go either way. I have a feeling that they lean in favor of impeachment. If you look at Joe's approval among independents especially, it ain't a pretty picture, and I can't imagine that it will solidify them in supporting poor persecuted Joe Biden. I don't think that will really work when Trump is probably facing indictment number 3 at any given time in the next 48 hours. That being said, with the persecution bullshit off the table, it basically is just a partisan game. You will fail in the Senate. The Senate will, of course, vote to acquit. And so it's not going to cause Biden to be removed from office. Although Joe Manchin might be iffy as to how he votes at this particular time. It would be one last parting shot before announcing that he's going for the presidency as a no-labeler, and that would throw the Democratic Party into absolute uproar. There's a reason that they've got about 3 hit pieces up literally in the last 24 hours about Manchin. Not that he doesn't deserve it. He is a sleazebag, but if it fucks with the Democratic neoliberal elite by splitting the vote, yeah, I support it. I support it absolutely. Kevin McCarthy is slow-walking it, despite having every bit of detail that he needs already. There are several reasons why they're slow-walking it. Number one, I think Kevin McCarthy and his fellow neocon stooges are desperately hoping that Trump gets fumbled up so badly that they have the ability to plausibly vote to prevent him from being on the ballot. That is, they effectively take him out of the race. Now, they're jettisoning any chance of a Republican victory in 2024 if they do this. But you got to understand that the Uniparty doesn't care whether the person, the figurehead, the neocon, neolib, bullshitter in charge has a D or an R after their name, because ultimately they all work fairly well together. They stand for 99% the same things. What they're afraid of on the liberal side is the left fringe, which has risen up, and what the neocons are afraid of is MAGA, which additionally has grown. In fact, it's subsumed largely many state party apparatuses already. It's gone beyond the Tea Party in terms of its overall power, and it's not going anywhere anytime soon. So for the last few elections, they've resorted to dirty tricks. And the Republican unipartyists certainly helped with both 2020 and 2022. They helped absolutely. I mean, some of it was very transparent, especially with people like Mitch McConnell. McConnell made sure $10 million was funneled to a race that the GOP could not actually lose because the 2 candidates were both Republicans, for example. Meanwhile, Cawthorn got thrown under the bus, losing narrowly. Myra Flores got thrown under the bus. Blake Masters got thrown under the bus. The list goes on and on. Some of those candidates admittedly were fairly weak, like Mehmet Oz, but Herschel Walker would have pulled it off if he had gotten a little bit more funding and a little bit more support. GOP would have held the Senate. They would have gotten another 10 seats in the House, for example, in 2022. It would have been a red wave. The reason that the uniparty globalist neocons didn't want this is they would rather have a standard neoliberal Democrat as opposed to a MAGA Republican holding that particular position. Mitch McConnell finds it much easier to deal with the neolibs that he's used to than the non-neocon GOP fringe, which really is the bulk of the party if you look at the primary polling. He finds it much more easy. Kevin McCarthy, therefore, is slow-walking it partially because they want to wait. They're kicking the can and slowing the process enough so that hopefully Trump is off the table. Now, if Trump is taken off the table, so they've already jettisoned any 24 chances they had, they'll vote to impeach. Absolutely. They'll vote to impeach Joe Biden. It'll just be a show impeachment. They know that he won't get convicted. It wouldn't matter if Joe Biden shit his pants in front of the audience and stood there grinning with dementia haze for 20 minutes before being dragged off by the Secret Service. It wouldn't matter if he slapped a baby. They still wouldn't remove him from office. They might try to 25th him to get him out of the way, though, otherwise, if Trump is not knocked out because they're fucking terrified. So that's their strategy. They're waiting to see what happens with Big Don before you see what happens with Little Joe. Secondly, if there were a concerted effort, and McCarthy doesn't want to lose the support of the fairly considerable number of MAGA Republicans in the House because that could prove politically problematic for his own agenda. So it's not that he's not amenable to the point of impeaching Joe Biden, although most of the urging, you'll note, comes from the MAGA Republicans, not from the neocons. What a surprise, conforming to exactly what I just said. The other reason is that if you lose only a handful of people's support in the House, you could end up triggering an impeachment vote, and it fails. Then the Republicans are a laughingstock, including Kevin McCarthy. He doesn't want to personally lose his job, so part of it is self-serving. This is the non-malevolent part of it. Part of it is Kevin McCarthy is worried that if you have only a handful, only a half a dozen holdouts within the GOP House that he can't guarantee are going to vote in favor of it, he won't bring it to a vote. He won't bring it to a vote because he will look pathetic, and he wants to keep that job. He already has enough problems with the populist Republicans not liking him, and if he's not careful, he might fail to stop them and fail to impeach Biden, leading to that epic rematch resulting in Trump getting in there and lambasting him. Well, he doesn't want that. If he does have to deal with Orange Man as a boss for 4 years, he would rather be on at least slightly good terms with him so he doesn't get kicked aside by the rest of his own political party. So again, ego is caught up with him. I would like it, though, if they would just have the goddamn vote. Once you have the votes, proceed. Don't wait any longer. Don't let Joe off the hook any longer. He has done impeachable things. He is absolutely, we know that he has. We've got the evidence. We've got several sets of whistleblowers. We've got thousands of pages of documentation from Hunter Biden's laptop, etc. We're now finding that it was more than a few dozen times that he pulled Daddy in on meetings in person and on the phone. We have his former fucking business partner and former best friend, Hunter's, making these allegations now. In addition to the IRS whistleblower, in addition to Gal Luft, in addition to several others, how many whistleblowers do you need to come forward and say, look, there's shady shit going on? By the way, it just happens to concord exactly what Hunter's saying in his emails and shit on his laptop. How much more evidence do you need? It'd be a pretty slam dunk case. If you had a criminal case going on and you have 4 or 5 witnesses corroborating, let's say, fraud charges against someone, and then when a forensic examination of their laptop shows a bunch of emails and shit like that, basically saying, yeah, I committed fraud, what more do you need? You could easily put someone in jail on less evidence than that. Sometimes people go to jail just because one person claims they did someone wrong without any corroborating evidence. Look at the Me Too movement if you don't believe me. What more do you need? Literally nothing. Shit or get off the pot. Hurry up, dude. Scoot along. Do your job. That's about all. Peace out.